Rev up your engines!
Duma 4 says, if I drive less, what engine oil is better? In my country, they say change your oil every 3,000 miles or 6 months, but I don't drive much. So 6 months comes before 3,000 miles. I never use synthetic oil. I want to know whether synthetic oil can be useful for more than 6 months. I don't have to change it every 6 months. They're kind of ripping you off. You use regular oil, not synthetic oil. Yeah, I still say it's a good idea to change it every 3 or once a year. So you could change it once a year, right? That would be perfectly fine. Now the synthetic oil lasts longer, right? Now with synthetic oil, I personally advise every 5,000 miles or once a year. So what it depends on is how many miles are you driving? If you're going to drive, 5,000 miles in a year, you can go a year changing the oil. I'd use synthetic oil. But if you're driving less than 5,000, I'd just keep the regular oil and change it once a year. That would be perfectly fine. Just as a general rule of thumb. Regular oil every 3, once a year. Synthetic oil every 5, same thing once a year. All the oils break down. Realize synthetic oil, it's not like it's magic. It's regular oil, same as normal oil, but it's been synthesized, sometimes with steam, sometimes with acid to purify it. It's still basically regular oil. And after a year, things start to break down. That's just how all oils are. When they're in an engine where it's hot, there's explosions going on, it gets unpure, carbon builds up, and then you got to change it at least once a year. Well, if you think about buying a car, here's the fastest and slowest selling new and used cars in the market. So you can maybe buy the ones that sell slow and get them down even lower. As for used cars, top sellers that sell the fastest: Honda HR-V, Acura ILX, Toyota Highlander Hybrid, Acura RDX, Hyundai Venue, Honda Insight, Honda CR-V, Honda Civic, Toyota CHR, and Toyota Sienna Hybrid. Those are selling the fastest. So those are the ones you're going to have the harder time getting your hands on because they're selling faster, right? But here's the slowest selling ones that you get the best deal on. Not that I'd buy one. Number 1 is a Tesla Model S. The average Tesla Model S sits for almost 90 days before it's sold. Number 2 is a Buick Envision. They sell slower. They're 76 days. Then the Land Rover Discovery Sport. Cadillac XT4 is number 5. Tesla Model X is number 6. Land Rover is number 7. Chevy Blazer is 8. Chrysler 300 is 9, and Buick Enclave is number 10. Those are the slowest selling cars. The only problem with these slowest selling ones is I wouldn't buy any of them because most of them are piles of crap. And that's the reason they're selling slow. You notice the fastest selling ones, they're all mostly Japanese stuff, right? Everybody knows they're good. Land Rovers, the crappiest cars are the ones that are selling the slowest. Hey, turns out people finally have some brains. People aren't buying that crap. They're buying the Japanese. They're not buying the Americans. So in this case, maybe buying the slowest selling ones isn't a very good idea because they're all crappy. That's why the fastest selling ones are the Japanese, because they're well made, right? And if you went down on the list, there's further ones like BMW, Alfa Romeo, Jeep, right? These are all things you shouldn't buy, so that's why they take so long to sell. The public's finally wising up. Those are crappy cars. Don't buy them. Don't throw your money on these things. Well, Ford Quality Control continues to go down the toilet. They just recalled a bunch of 2023 Ford Explorers because the oil line to the turbo might rupture, might start a fire. Turns out that the O-ring where the line goes on may have been torn because they didn't build them right. Then the oil will leak and get on the exhaust, start a fire. And even if it doesn't start a fire, it's the oil line to the turbo. If they get starved from oil, it will burn out the turbocharger. They're not mentioning that in the recall. They're worried about a fire, but me, I'd be worried too that the turbocharger would be starved of oil, then it would burn out. You got something spinning 1,000 RPMs. If it doesn't have a good oil supply, goodbye. It'll destroy the turbo. And Fords have enough problem with their turbos wearing out early anyway. Granted, these are 2023 cars, so the turbo shouldn't wear out yet. And if you want to know about it, if you think you have one that's like that, the recall notice is 23S50. That's the recall number. And of course, if you're ever curious about any of your cars and recalls, just go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.gov website. You can type in your VIN number, see if there's any recalls on your car. By law, they got to place it there. You can use your phone, your laptop, whatever. NHTSA.gov, and you'll find any recall a car has. All right, here's a shocker. Here's a Tesla I'd like to have, okay? That's the original Tesla Roadster. People found like 3 of these things lying around. They're having an auction bid. One guy gave $2 million bid, then he said, no, I don't want it. There was a Canadian guy who was trying to do electric vehicles in Canada. He was going to use it as kind of an advertising thing, but he backed out of the deal. Now, I do have to say, the original Teslas actually look cool. Look at that car. There's another shot. They're beautiful, right? Those are heavily modified Lotus Elises, the beautiful Lotus cars, right? And I wouldn't mind having one of those. I saw one at the museum in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. They're beautiful looking little cars. Unlike the ugly crap that they're throwing out now, that was a nice looking car. Right? Because he didn't build original Roadsters, like I say. It was a modified Lotus Elise. They electrified the thing, right? Those are nice looking cars. Why they didn't make cars like that, I have no idea. So the ugly piles of crap that they're throwing out for outrageous money. But somebody's got 3 of them they're trying to sell, and the $2 million bid went out. So maybe if you want to bid a little bit, you can buy one of these. They are interesting looking Teslas. I would say that would be a fun car to drive. It's a nice looking car, stylish, and it's an electric car. It would be a toy for me. I wouldn't be driving it back and forth Tennessee to Rhode Island, commuting, too much hassle waiting to charge it, looking for charging. But it's a nice looking car. When they were copying the Lotus Elises and they handled really well, I got to drive one once. It was phenomenal. That is the only Tesla that I would ever want. IK Hummer says, my rear differential, my F-150, is making a humming noise. I took it under warranty. I think it was the wheel bearings. Ford said I have water in my rear differential and gearbox, but all the seals are solid and not leaking. How can I get water? Ford said it's not covered under warranty since it was flooded and I have to go through insurance. All right, well, if they're telling you the truth, and a lot of them are lying scumbags because they don't want to fix anything under warranty, but if they're telling you the truth and you have water in your tranny and in your differential, yes, you're going to need some very expensive work done because that destroys them. Now, you might say, well, they said the seals are okay. How did water get in? Well, here's how it works. Both the transmissions and the differentials have to have air vents in them because they get hot, they get cold, and so they expand, they contract the fluid inside. And if you didn't have a vent, the seals would blow out and blow in by this contraction, right? So they got a vent. Well, if you go underwater, then the vents bubble, 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 and the water gets inside through the air vents, and that destroys them. That's what happens. If that's the truth, get a second opinion because the dealers are often lying. They don't want to fix anything under warranty. But if there actually is water in both of them, you're screwed. You're going to have to replace them. And if you were in a flood, contact your insurance company and say, look, I was in flood water, this got damaged. And if you had full coverage, they'd have to cover it, right? But the problem is if it's retroactive, if that happened like months ago, good luck trying to get them. They'll say, why didn't you tell us about this before, right? That's the problem. But that's how it happens. There's air vents. Air bubbles out, water gets in, and that's how you get water inside. And that's why you don't want to drive in water when it's up to the tires because then water's going to get in your tranny and your differential. Well, here's one for you. Tesla told a Houston Tesla owner that he's responsible that his car was stolen while it was at the Tesla repair shop. Now, a Houston man had his Tesla towed to the Tesla repair shop, and when he went to look, it was gone. He had to confirm that his car was at the Tesla dealer because Teslas have all that GPS crap. You can look on your phone and see where the car is, right? And he says it's there. But then Saturday morning, he gets a call from the Tesla service department that says, where's your car? You said your car's here, but it's not here. Well, someone had stolen it. Then he looked at his app on his phone, and was tracking his car. He says, oh, look, it's at the HEB store. Oh, look, it stopped at a Subway and got a sandwich, right? They followed it, and the cops saw it in the parking lot on the outskirts of Houston, right? And the cop said, oh, wait, dude, you don't want to confront him. Wait a while. The guy didn't come, so he gets his car and he brings it back. And not only is the window smashed, but, there's probably all kinds of damage. And Tesla refuses to have anything to do. They said, that's your problem. We don't have anything to do with it, right? Well, here's the thing. The law is anybody who's repairing cars, dealership, whatever, they're responsible for making your vehicle secure as possible. So, I saw this in Houston once at a Mercedes-Benz dealer. They had parked the guy's Mercedes in their lot in the back, which was surrounded by a fence and a gate. Right? Well, somebody ended up cutting the lock on the gate, opening it up, and vandalizing cars, right? In that case, it was the person's personal responsibility for his insurance company to pay for the damage because they did everything they were supposed to do. They had it in a closed area. It was locked. If a guy breaks in, hey, it's not their fault that they got robbed, right? But on the other hand, if they would have just parked the car on the street in the open area or in front of the Tesla place, an open parking lot with no guards, no fence, no locks, it's their fault for not having a secure environment. That's how the law goes in Texas. And this happened in Houston. So be interesting to see what happened. But I imagine there was a breakdown because it was towed in at night when the people weren't there. And they probably just left it out on the street, which is a big no-no. If you got a business, you got to have a place there it's locked in, where it's safe, either in a building or locked in a lot that's got a fence around it with a lock. Well, in this case, they really dropped the ball and they said, it's not our fault. We don't have anything to do with it. And the media tried to contact them. Of course, Tesla never got back with them because they want to cover their heinies for everything. I doubt that it was in a locked enclosure. And realize this, if you do leave your car with somebody and it's in a locked enclosure and it gets robbed or a tree falls on it or something, well, that's just tough luck and your regular insurance will pay for it, right? But if they tow your car away and leave it out in the open somewhere and it's stolen, it's their fault for not securing it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.